The average person, they don't see killer robots going down the streets. They're like, what are you talking about? Man, we want to make sure we don't have killer robots going down the street. Once they're going down the street, it is too late.
If you want, the machine is going to be smarter than human being. This is for sure. All right, I'm a guarantee. Because the day when we design the machine, we know machine is powerful, stronger than us. When we design the trains and buses, we know machine is going to run faster than us. When we have the computers, we have to know that machine is going to be smarter than us.
Google acquired DeepMind several years ago. DeepMind operates as a semi-independent subsidiary of Google. The thing that makes DeepMind unique is that DeepMind is absolutely focused on creating digital superintelligence, an AI that is vastly smarter than any human on Earth and ultimately smarter than all humans on Earth combined. I mean, the DeepMind system can win at any game. It can already beat all the original Atari games. It is superhuman. It plays the games at super speed in less than a minute. I think if it reaches the threshold where it's as smart as the smartest, most inventive human, then, it really could be, a matter of days before it's smarter than the sum of humanity.
Any concerns where you see there's a very clear thing we should be doing now that are going to help?
I've been trying to think of what is an actual good future? What does that actually look like? Or at least bad, or how you want to characterize it. Because to a point that was made earlier, I think maybe by Sam and maybe by others, that we're headed towards either superintelligence or civilization ending. Those like the two things that are that'll happen. Intelligence will keep advancing. The only thing that would prevent it from advancing is something that puts civilization into stasis or destroys civilization. So then we have to figure out what is a world that we would like to be in, where there is this digital superintelligence. I think and then another point that I think is really important to appreciate is that all of us already are cyborgs. So you have a machine extension of yourself in the form of your phone and your computer and all your applications. You are already superhuman. But by far, you have more power, more capability than the President of the United States had 30 years ago. If you have an internet link, you have an oracle of wisdom. You can communicate to millions of people. You can communicate to the rest of Earth instantly. These are magical powers that didn't exist not that long ago. So everyone is already superhuman and a cyborg. The limitation is one of bandwidth. So we're bandwidth constrained, particularly on output. So our input is much better, but our output is extremely slow. If you want to be generous, you could say maybe it's a few hundred bits per second or a kilobit or something like that output. The way we output is like we have our little meat sticks that we move very slowly and push buttons or tap a little screen. And that's just extremely slow. Compare that to a computer which can communicate at the terabit level. These are very big orders of magnitude differences. Our input is much better because of vision. But even that could be enhanced significantly. So I think that the two things that are needed for a future that we would look at and conclude is good, most likely, is we have to solve that bandwidth constraint with a direct neural interface. I think a high bandwidth interface to the cortex, so that we can have a digital tertiary layer that's more fully symbiotic with the rest of us. Like we've got the cortex and the limbic system, which seem to work together pretty well. They've got good bandwidth, whereas the bandwidth to our digital tertiary layer is weak. So I think if we can solve that bandwidth issue, and then AI can be widely available. So AI, the analogy to nuclear bombing is not exactly correct. It's it's not as though it's going to explode and create a mushroom cloud. It's more like if there were just a few people that had it, they would be able to be essentially dictators of Earth, or whoever acquired it, and if it was limited to a small number of people, and it was ultra smart, they would have dominion over Earth. So I think it's extremely important that it be widespread, and that we solve the bandwidth issue. And if we do those things, then it will be tied to our consciousness, tied to our will, tied to the sum of individual human will, and everyone would have it. So it would be sort of still a relatively even playing field. In fact, it would be probably more egalitarian than today. I have thought about this a lot, and I think it just really comes down to two things, and it's solving the machine brain bandwidth constraint and democratization of AI. I think if we have those two things, the future will be good. There's a great quote by Lord Acton, which is that freedom consists of the distribution of power and despotism in its concentration. And I think as long as AI power is, like, anyone can get it if they want it, and we've got something faster than meat sticks to communicate with, then I think the future will be good. I have to say that when something is a danger to the public, then there needs to be some, I hate to say it, government agency, like regulators. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of regulators, like, because they're a bit of a buzzkill, but the fact is, like, we've got regulators in the aircraft industry, car industry, deal with them all the time, with drugs, food, and anything that's sort of a public risk. I think this has to fall into the category of a public risk, so I think that, like, this is the right thing to do, and I think it will happen. The question is whether the government reaction speed matches the advancement speed of AI. Governments react slowly, and governments move slowly, and they tend to be reactive as opposed to proactive. But you can look at these other industries and say, like, does anybody really want the FAA to go away? It's like people could just be a free-for-all for aircraft. Like, probably not. Like, there's a reason it's there. Or just people can just do any kind of drugs, and maybe they work, maybe they don't. We have that in supplements, just like it's kind of ridiculous. But I think, like, on balance, FDA is good. So I think we probably need some kind of regulatory authority, and I think it's like the rebuttal to that is, like, well, people will just, like, move to freaking Costa Rica or something. That's not true. Okay, like, we don't see Boeing moving to Costa Rica or to Venezuela or wherever it's, like, free and loose.